FPL is back, and all in all, I'm not doing too badly in the game at the moment. In Game Week 20, I scored 75 points, and I'm in 61k overall. But I do have a few transfers that I'm considering needing to make. And in this video, I'm going to go through my team selection. All right, so we'll start by just looking, or reminder for people that would have seen already, or if you haven't, a quick look at how my team got on in Game Week 20. Sells, clean sheet, bonus points. Very happy with that against Wolves. Lewis, Hall and Robinson, they're the wrong way around, apologies for that. Both coming away with blanks. Aina with a 6-pointer, obviously double Forest defence and a double clean sheet for both of those, obviously in their game against Wolves. With Rodgers being suspended, I couldn't get rid of him. I couldn't bring myself to sell Morgan Rodgers, so I started dibbling in his place. He blanked. Unfortunate, but kind of just is what it is, really. Palmer, obviously, with a goal. Semenyo blanking. He's one player that I potentially need to get rid of, looking at his tough fixtures coming up, but we'll talk about him in a second. He came away with a clean sheet in his game. I believe he played Everton. Kept a clean sheet in that one. Salah, a goal. My captain, 14 points from him. I've still got Haaland. I've never sold Haaland. Sometimes I questioned why I have him. But going into Game Week 21, I actually think it's quite a good place to be with Erling Haaland. And it might not be the case like fixture for fixture with Chris Wood facing Liverpool in Game Week 21. But I think long term, right now, I probably have the best front three in the game. Haaland, Isak and Wood. So I'm very happy to have all three. And all three returned for me. Obviously, Isak with the -1 there for his yellow card. But yeah, I'll take goals from all three of my forwards. So yeah, that's how I got on in Game Week 20. Just looking at my bench quickly, I didn't really make any sort of benching mistakes. I have Morgan Rodgers on there. He was suspended, obviously, for the game in Game Week 20. But like I said, I couldn't bring myself to sell him. I think he is the best midfielder at that price point. So he just stayed in my team on my bench. And then Colwill and Greaves, 1 point on my bench. Nothing really to talk about there. So going into Game Week 21, I've got Ola Aina, who's got Liverpool, which makes me think I should probably start Levi Colwill against Bournemouth. But even then, I'm not massively confident in starting Colwill. I don't like him all that much. You know, looking at his stats this season, doesn't really offer any attacking threat. 1 assist from his 19 games so far. Conceded 23 goals, only 4 clean sheets. So he's had 5 returns from 19 games so far this season. And I don't think Bournemouth is all that good of a fixture. Actually, Bournemouth are a pretty strong team and have a good chance of scoring against Chelsea. So whilst I think I'd rather start Colwill than Aina, I'd rather I didn't start either of them. And I definitely have Aina long term in my team. I think he's brilliant. The Forest defence are obviously great. But I don't want Levi Colwill in my team. It's one potential move I could make. And I'm potentially looking at getting Daniel Munoz in. 2 goals, 2 assists from his 19 appearances so far. Doesn't look all that much better than Colwill. But if you've watched him in the last sort of 4 or 5 games, I'm pretty sure he's had a chance to score in all of the games. And clean sheet wise, Crystal Palace are equal with Chelsea, keeping 4 in that same period of time. Or at least Munoz is equal with Colwill. And I look at the fixtures he's got coming up. Leicester, West Ham, Brentford, Man United, Everton. Man United have picked things up a little bit recently, but I'd still consider them, just based on what we've seen out of them this season, a team to almost target. And they are, specifically with Crystal Palace, a bit of a bogey team. So I think Crystal Palace could get a result out of that game and Munoz could do well. Leicester, under Ruud van Nistelrooy, a little bit better, but they're still a team to target. I think West Ham and Brentford are all teams to target as well. I think over that run of 5 fixtures, there's potential clean sheets there and also potential attacking returns for Munoz. It's just the question, you know, I don't think there's any question that Munoz is a better option than Colwill. It's just a question of, is it really worth using a transfer to bring him in? So I'll just show my defence as it's lining up currently, just to talk about the other guys. But yeah, I'm obviously thinking about swapping Colwill to Munoz. One thing you will notice is that I've got nothing in the bank, and Munoz is currently, well, he's actually 0.2 million more than my selling price for Colwill. So in order to bring him in, I'd have to sell someone else in my team, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I'm going to line up like this. Sells, Hall and Robinson as my other 3, and then potentially look to get rid of Colwill. So Semenyo then. With Bournemouth having an injury to, well, their entire front line as it seems, and bringing Jebison back on loan from Watford, it does leave the door open for Semenyo to potentially play as the number 9, although I've seen it heavily touted that Cliver is likely to play there. So that probably detracts a little bit from Semenyo's appeal. Another thing that detracts from Semenyo's appeal is the fixtures he's got coming up next. I think the next 4 fixtures for Semenyo are probably the 4 worst fixtures you could possibly ask for. Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, Newcastle at St James's Park, Nottingham Forest and Liverpool. There's not Arsenal there, to be fair, so I put Arsenal on that list as well, but those are 4 pretty terrible fixtures. He's done all right in my team since I've had him. I've had him since around Game Week 16 for those 5 game weeks. Couple of attacking returns. It's nothing to write home about, but it was decent enough. And he's still getting the chances. 20 shots in 5 games is nothing to be shy about. And 2 on target per game. 15 shots in the box, so he's averaging 3 shots on target per game over that last 5 games. 5 big chances in that time as well. So yeah, he's looking like a pretty good option on paper. But I think with Bournemouth losing a number 9 and just having really tough fixtures, well, I say he's looking like a good option on paper. He's looking like he's an alright option. I think you can do better. And by buying someone like Ahmad, it frees up that 0.2 million that I would need to do Colwill to Munoz. So Ahmad is definitely a player I'm considering. And Man United, Southampton at home in Game Week 21, they've definitely looked better in their past couple of games. The game against Arsenal is going on right now, and Bruno Fernandes has just scored. Regardless of the outcome of that Arsenal game, I think I've seen enough from Man United to suggest that they have improved in the last couple of games. And Southampton at home is the single best fixture I think you could get in the Premier League right now. And that's what Ahmad's about to go into. And then he's got Brighton, Fulham, Crystal Palace and Tottenham. All 5 of those games I think are really good for him. 3 attacking returns in his last 5 games is better than Semenyo. He's cheaper, which allows me to upgrade Colwill, and his fixtures are better as well. So he's one potential option I could bring in. Another one is another man of the moment in Jacob Murphy. Even cheaper than Ahmad, and he's actually got more returns over the same period of games. And he also, in my opinion, has just as good, if not slightly better fixtures than Ahmad does. Wolves, Bournemouth, Southampton, Fulham, Man City as his next 5. In my mind, even Man City, right, they have improved slightly, don't get me wrong, but I still think, with thinking of their defence, they're a team to target and a team that I certainly wouldn't be worried about starting my attackers against. So yeah, 5 really good fixtures for a man that's in great form at the moment. And one thing I am slightly concerned about, I'm not going to make a move until the deadline, just in case we get any intel about Ahmad maybe picking up a training injury or maybe being rested. I don't think any of that Man United 11 bar Bruno Fernandes are completely immune from rotation just for the sake of being rested, particularly against Southampton at home. So if we get any news, for example, that Ahmad could be rotated, then obviously that would put me off him. And also, just with Man United doing all right against Arsenal at the moment, I'm slightly concerned that he's going to go up in price, and I literally have nothing in the bank if I make those moves. I've got no leeway. So if Ahmad goes up or Munoz goes up, I've got no leeway to make the move, which kind of draws me a little bit towards Jacob Murphy as it stands. But those are the 2 potential replacements I'm looking to bring in for Semenyo. I'll just look at my team as it lines up at the moment. Regardless, like I said, potentially Murphy or Ahmad coming in for Semenyo, and then Colwill going out for Munoz. But alongside him, I've got Palmer, Salah, and a renewed Rodgers back from suspension against a new Everton side under David. Well, not a new Everton side, but Everton with a new manager, basically. Previously, well, I guess Sean Dyche, even defensively, Everton were pretty poor towards the end of his run, or his time there. But before that, I would have actually said Everton away was a fixture I'd be worried about. But right now, I don't think I'm worried about that fixture. And with Arsenal picking up, just seems like more and more injuries, I'm not too concerned about Rodgers facing Arsenal away either. I certainly don't think I'd be scared about starting him in that one. So, he's a season keep, best player at this price point in my mind. It's just Semenyo that could go for me. Right, moving on to the forwards then. Isaac, Haaland, Chris Woods. I don't think there's any reason to sell any of these players. The one sort of downside, I guess, is that Chris Woods got Liverpool, who are statistically the best defence in the league so far this season. Although even with Liverpool, I'd say they've not completely dropped off a cliff, don't get me wrong, that's not what I'm trying to say. And they did well in the FA Cup against Accrington Stanley, but that's Accrington Stanley. In the Premier League and top flight competitions, they haven't been quite their best for the last 2 or 3 games. Chris Wood has just been a goal machine this season, so I'm not too worried about him playing Liverpool, although it is probably the worst fixture you could get. But I still think he's got a chance. And then I've got Isaac, Wolves at home. On paper, I think, looking at the expected points, Palmer just edges it. But on paper, if I was to give someone advice as to who they should captain, providing he doesn't have a hamstring injury that keeps him out. That's another thing about Isaac. He has a potential hamstring issue. Don't really have any info from Eddie Howe on that one. I don't think it's a case where you sell him. but I wouldn't trust what Eddie Howe says about it. And you can see I've got Erling Haaland there, and I actually think of all weeks that I've had Erling Haaland in my team alongside Mo Salah, and I've bottled the captaincy, right? I've had the captaincy on Haaland, changed it to Salah last minute. Every single time that has worked out for me. But I'm looking at this team right now. Haaland with Brentford away, Salah with Nottingham Forest away. I genuinely think this is one of very few weeks in the season at least so far, where going against Salah is a genuine option. And yes, I could go for Isak, and like I say, on paper, he is probably the best captain. But I really like the idea of going for Haaland as captain. I think on paper, he's probably, not necessarily on form better than Isak, but he is in general, I think, better than Isak. And I think Brentford away is a nice fixture. So yeah, right now, the armband's going to go on Haaland. And if I don't make any transfers to my team, this is how it looks. 64.4 expected points, a 94% AI rating. All of this data, by the way, is courtesy of Fantasy Football Hub. You can sign up to Fantasy Football Hub using the discount below. I believe you get 30 days as a free trial at the moment and 30% off the purchase price using the link in the description. So if you want to see this data for yourself, check it out in the link. So this is my team, like I said, if I don't make any moves. And this is what it could look like if I swap Colwill out for Munoz and I bring Ahmad in for Semenyo. So Sells, Hall, Munoz, Robinson, Palmer, Salah, Ahmad, Rogers, Isak, Haaland captain, Chris Wood. I think on paper, obviously, this team looks better than the previous one. But it does mean I've got no transfers left. It also means I've got nothing in the bank. And we're coming into a point of the season where, I don't know, feels like injuries are starting to happen. The Christmas football, the miles in the legs of players are starting to kind of rack up. We're seeing that in the Arsenal team. Odegaard, I believe, just gone down injured. Jesus is injured. We're just seeing a few injuries pop up. And I quite like the idea of holding on to my transfers. And I say to my people who watch my deadline streams, or even in the comment section of my video, one of the rules I like to have is that I try to avoid luxury transfers where I can. So what I mean by a luxury transfer is swapping one player that you know is decent, is going to play every game, for another one that is also decent, going to play every game, but you believe is probably slightly better and is going to score more points. And you could make an argument either way. You could make an argument that that is the case with doing Colwill to Munoz, and that is the case with doing Semenyo to Ahmad. Or you could say the two options I'm bringing in, Munoz and Ahmad, are so much better than Colwill and Semenyo that it doesn't even count as a luxury transfer. So I'm going to mull over this. This is the decision I've got to make, basically. I'm not going to say I'm locked in yet because, well, we've still got a little bit of FA Cup action still to go. The deadline's on Tuesday. I'll likely decide exactly what I do on the deadline stream, but I'm caught between these two at the moment. Bringing in Ahmad or Munoz, or just rolling and having 3 next week. This is how my team could look. All right, well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, found it useful. Bit of insight there into what I'm doing with my FPL team, sitting at 61k overall, which is a rare occurrence for me this early on in the season. I promise I'm not going to get carried away with that rank. As quickly as ranks are gained, I know they're lost. So, yeah, definitely not getting carried away with it. I'm trying to stay humble. I just thought people would like to see, someone in 61k overall who's got Haaland. It'd be quite interesting to see what I'm thinking about doing with my team. So that's why you see it on the thumbnail. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like rating. I'd really appreciate that. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any different opinions as to what I should do with my team down below. And yeah, if you haven't already, want to see more content from me, subscribe to the Goal to Goal channel. Should be just there on your screen. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.